Hello everyone, welcome back to Car Fixes, and today we are going to be changing the rear brake discs and pads on my car, which is a Kia CEED 2011 model, but it should pretty much be roughly the same process for any car. So these are the tools you'll need for this. I've got a torque wrench, which you don't 100% need, but it comes in handy for these jobs. I've got a couple of other wrenches just to get in the smaller places. To do this particular car, you're going to need two 17mm sockets to get one of the suspension arms out of the way, 40mm to undo the caliper, I think 22mm and your locking nut for getting the wheel off. I've got some brake grease here, just so your brakes don't squeak and seize up and that in the future. Some thread locker for putting the nuts back on, a hammer in case a disc is rusty, a wire brush to clean things up, got a big ended screwdriver just in case I need to pry anything off, some penetrating fluid, WD-40, a brake cleaner for the new disc because it has a film on it that you need to clean off, and obviously underneath the actual disc and pads. So that is everything you should need to do this job. So we will return when I'm at the car. Right, so I'm outside now. First thing to do is remove the wheel, which I'm sure you can all do pretty easily. Just put it on there. Probably can't show it too well with my current camera setup because I haven't got a tripod or anything. That's what, excuse the road noise because I'm doing this in my driveway. But here's my torque wrench. Probably shouldn't really use this for undoing such like things, but any normal wheel spanner you've got in your boot. Let's crack it off. Just undo them a little bit. You can undo them the rest of the way when you've jacked it up. So if you jack it up and then you need to undo them from scratch, the car on you won't be able to do it. Right, so I've got the studs out, but the wheel, as you can see, will not come off. It's rusted onto the disc. So there's a couple of methods to get rid of this. One is kick it. As you can see, that's pretty stubborn. Another is to hammer it, and another is to wedge something under this part of the wheel on this side, then lower your jack onto it, and the weight of the car prizes it off. So I think that's the method we're going to try and use. So let's go get something to wedge under there. Actually, see it's wedged under. So now I'm going to lower the jack and hopefully it'll free the wheel. And there you go, I guess you saw that click, and I can see the wheel is loose, so top tip that. So let's now remove it. Right, so now the wheel's off. You can see all this is super corroded. You can see where it was stuck on, rusted on. Now I need to undo these two Phillips head screws, one there, and take that grommet out for, which I think is the handbrake adjustment. So we'll do that next. Actually, these should come out fairly easily when I get the right screwdriver. I'm actually going to spray a little bit of penetrating fluid in these. Because if the wheel is rusted to the disc, then the likely the hub is almost certainly rusted to the disc. The hub's rusted to the disc, so spray a load of that in there, and hopefully while I'm messing about with these screws, it'll help loosen it up a little. Right, so here we go. Hopefully these should come out fairly easy. Got some crap in them though, I might have to clean out. I'm going to need both hands. There's one. Just takes a little bit of force, but they should come out pretty easy, these screws, rusted or not. If they don't, you've probably got a big problem. Okay, so as you see, I've got these screws out of there now. It was rounded off by, or slightly rounded by, someone who had a go on it before. So I had to go out and get another screwdriver that was slightly bigger so I could fit it in and get it out, but it was fairly easy. Now we need to take the caliper off, starting with two 14mm which go right on here and on the bottom of the two caliper brackets. So let's try and get them off. Might need a helping hand. Yeah, that's one. I better ratchet. That one's not really suitable. It's too small. It's a bit awkward with the camera in the way. Probably just leave the bolt in the top. Stop the caliper pulling away. And there we go, that's that one. Down the bottom there as well. Yeah, should, once you've cracked it, it should just come out easy. Now you can whip the holder out, the pad holder out. Just put it to one side. You don't want to pull this cable, brake cable, make it leak. Okay, you have to bleed your brakes. Now I can get the pads out. You can see they're in a rusted state. So I'm probably going to need something to help pry them out. Screwdriver. There you go, it's out. Bad. Bit of life left in them, but they're pretty much dead. The second one from the back, easily enough. Now you remove the actual caliper, which is 2 more bolts, which are this one here, you can see just below there, so that one there, this suspension joint in there, so we've got to remove this, which is why we need the 17 mils. So I'll do that now. So you just get on one side of it, probably needs a bit of a clean. You need to get on the other side so it doesn't spin. Takes a good bit of force. That's got it. Just unscrew it. Pretty tight. You can't move the caliper without taking this out on this car anyway, on this Kia. On a lot of cars you can do this job without having to do this, because the fault won't be obstructed by it. Just twist it out. Actually get it off the so it's just stiff. It's stuck in there. These gloves don't help because they're slippery. So get your hammer out, give it a whack. You probably need a screwdriver or something to get it all the way out. Make sure you're tapping the nut. There you go. So that's that all out. So you should be able to just remove the caliper now. Again with the 14 mils. Give the suspension arm a good whack to get it out of the way. There you go. Now you can get to that bolt that is in behind there. I believe it's 14 mil again. So we'll get the old ratchet on it. Probably need an extender for this. So we go, a 14 mil and an extension, and you're good to go. move the camera a little so before I knock it over. And that's it, just crack it off. That's all you have to do. And then the top one that's just below this. It shouldn't be too hard to get out of them, they're not in too tight. And then just should be able to hand unscrew them. Simple job really. Take the wheel off, take them couple of screws out, the disc, and then it's 4 screws in the back of the caliper and the brake disc holder, and the then on this one obviously you've got to take the suspension arm out, but it's not that big of a deal really. Then the caliper should just come off. You can see. And caliper bracket just comes off to leave you just the disc to remove, which can be problematic because if the disc is rusted to the hub, like this is likely to be after the problems I had on the other side. Let's take this grommet out. It can be a total pain in the backside to get off. So a couple of techniques to get rid of that. First one's first, let's make sure the handbrake's off so we can rotate it. And yes, the car is in gear and bricked off. So yeah, as you can see, you can rotate it. And I don't need this disc anymore because we're putting new ones on, so I basically will just hammer it. As you can see there, it's completely welded onto the hub. Get some penetrating fluid in there. Give it a minute to try and do its thing. Go around and give it a good whack with a hammer. Should hopefully loosen it off. There you go, see, seems to be a lot looser now, but this is where I had the problem before on the other side where I had it loose. It took me forever to get it off. It's a messy job, so I'm putting my gloves back on. And there we go, people. After a bit of a scramble, you can get it off, but if you have a look inside of the disc, you can see where the rust is rusted to it there. You just got to break it and then wiggle it backwards and forwards, and eventually it will come off. So I'll give it all a good clean with the wire brush. So you put some grease on there to hopefully stop it from doing it in the future. So all the rust and crap from down there, look at it all coming out. Look on the floor, got all the rust and crap that's come out of this disc. So what I'll do is put a bit of grease on here around these studs, so hopefully it won't do it again in the future. If I ever need to do the brakes on this again, which hopefully I won't. Just using some normal brake grease, get it from any shop, just Delphi stuff. Probably should use anti-seize really, but this stuff will do the job for this cart, just to hopefully stop it happening again in the future. Just put a bit on, smear it on with my finger, just a little bit really. Goes a long way with this stuff. I will put a little bit on. Just to hopefully stop it from all seizing up again. Or at least less anyway. So basically now we need the new disc. That should do it. Slip on easy, those holes should line up nicely, and then get some brake cleaner. You need to use brake cleaner to get all the grease off and the protective coating they put on at manufacturing. Right, yep, that'll do. So you can see all the grease on there, which you don't want. Now to replace everything, so I'm going to start with the disc screws. It should be fairly quick to get it back together. These don't need to be in mega tight. I should have problems getting them out again. Just nip them up. So you see the rounded off one. But as you see, if you get the right screwdriver, it works. And nip it up. Now, next step's the caliper back on. I'll just give it a clean with a wire brush. And you also want to make sure these pins slide in and out on the back of it, because these are what control your brakes basically. And make sure that your actual brakes work properly. You can put more grease in there if you want. They just pop out. Pop back in. You can pull them all the way out if you want. But I'm not going to today because they seem to be fine. So let's get this back on. We'll put the rubber grommet back in here as well. I'm going to use some thread locker on all of the screws, just for safety's sake. Just a tiny bit. Try and line this up. Same with the top one. Can be a bit tricky to line these back up, but just a bit of patience is needed. Once you get one in, it's easy to get the other in. Just finger tightening and out. Let's try and get in so you can see it. Probably be a little difficult, but you can see just beyond that suspension arm. So these don't need to be mega tight. Let's give them a good yank. Make sure they are tight. Thread lockers on there as well, so they shouldn't come undone. Crank this up. Give it a good pull. Should do. That's tight. Now we can put the new pads in, and then we have to do it to the next job, which is to compress that so the new thicker pads can get in. Sometimes if your calipers are in good nick, like the one was on the other side, I could actually do this by hand. It's squeezed in by hand. This one looks like it might be a little more of a problem. Feels like it is going, but oh no, it is going. You can see it hopefully just sinking there. Need to get it right back in. If you always want to do it by hand, you can get a special tool to do this, or you can use pliers, or even if you're feeling daring, a large socket and a hammer. So that's pretty compressed now, you can see, compared to what it was like before. But we will now put back in the steering arm slash suspension roll bar, whatever it is. So to get this back in, you're going to have to get the trusty hammer out. hopefully it's all lined up. And you can slip your bolt back through, which is easier said than done. Give it a bit of a tap. Tap it back through. Get your nuts for the other end. Joint up. Thread the nut on the other side. Just drop a bit of thread locker on there. Sorry about the dogs. Dogs all have around it. Live near a massive field. And a bus stop. Right. So your 217s again for this. Give this a good yank tight and make sure the bolt's not spinning at the other side. That's plenty tight. As you can see, it's all back in, looking lovely. Now I need to put the calipers pads on. These are new pads compared to the old ones. Look at the difference. They're nearly dead. So I'm going to put a bit of grease on where the pad runs on to stop it from squeaking. Just in there and in there. Else you'll end up with squeaky brakes probably. And on the back side as well. I apologise if you can hear the music going off, but it is terrible and it isn't mine. So basically the caliper disc pad, sorry, should just slip in easily enough. Like so. This one's got a bit of metal on, which is a wear indicator, so if your brakes are grinding or squealing, it's probably because that's scratching on your disc and your pads need changing. And I suggest you do change them if that's happening, or you will ruin your discs. On the back and have a look. That's it, nice, it's firmly in. Now you put the brake holder back on, and if the caliper isn't in enough, it won't go over the disc, pads, sorry. So, moment of truth. In this case it looks like it should be okay. There we go. And this screws into the back of those two bolts, as you can see, there and there, which obviously adjust the pads backwards and forwards, and that's basically your job done. Once again, I put a bit of thread locker on and just shove it in, give it a little hand tight. Same with the top one. And nip them up with your 14. And these do not need to be tight at all. Just a nice little pinch. And that's that. And that is it done. That is your brake disc and pad swap all changed. All you do now, put your wheel back on and you're ready to rock and roll on the street. So I'm going to leave the video there because I'm sure once you've done all this you can easily just put your wheel back on. There's nothing else to do bar put the wheel back on. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, favourite and subscribe to Car Fix. And I'll see what I do on the next one. Peace.